Hi, my name's George Weedman, personal trainer and nutritionist, and I'm here to tell you how you can't have the body of your dreams just by sitting around all day playing video games. And here's how. Video games are usually a sedentary activity. Usually. Far away from the fringes of the hardcore gaming market is a popular subgenre, and a real marketplace demand for games that incorporate fitness programs, for games that digitize and manage workout routines, or games that use peripherals to get players physically moving. It's a wildly attractive idea for the marketers of casual games, and it is one that would seem to make sense. After all, video games are designed to encourage players to overcome long-term challenges, to be persistent about chipping away at distant goals through small, repetitive intervals of kinetic action. We, as game players, are used to focusing for weeks on improving specific skills that take lots of time, or reaching specific goals that take lots of time. In fact, when I was at GDC, where VR headsets were all the rage, I had two casual, off-the-record conversations with businessmen who were both planning on investing in fitness games for VR. There is real demand out there in the market for these kinds of products, but are they effective? How do you playfully incentivize the rigorous, painful, and laborious process that is a workout? To get a clear picture of the contradiction challenging this trend, just look at the very words we use for those activities. Workouts are work, and games are fun and games. And game design usually gets a lot more fancy and fantastical about incentivizing player action than most of the typical subgenre fitness games do. At least fitness games like Wii Fit, or Jillian Michaels' Fitness Ultimatum 2009. So for this video, I spent the past month sticking to two vigorous workout routines dictated by two very strict mobile fitness games. I wanted to find two games that got particularly more creative than the usual about motivating you to damage your body over and over again for a period of months. First up is Zombies Run! Zombies Run is an audio drama with a GPS-enabled running diary and a base-building minigame attached. And this person never felt truly alive until they tried it. So the idea is that you run around for 30 minutes while listening to an audio drama explaining why you need to run around for 30 minutes. The basic storyline has a small community of survivalists struggling to persist in a world without safety, sanity, or fuel, which is why they need you! The 30-minute runs are contextualized with brief stories about raiding old buildings or rescuing stranded survivors a few miles away from home. The story is pieced together by hundreds of small, under 3-minute vignettes that are delivered between 2.5 to 6 minutes of your own music. So there's this undoubtedly jarring contrast between tales of desperate, horrifying survival before your cheerful-ass music butts in and kills the mood.
I think they're heading towards you. What's that? Oh man, someone else incoming. Looks like they're coming up behind you, heading for the kid too. If you don't hurry, they'll get there before you do. Run!
But that's only after you get it set up properly, which was a headache since it wasn't compatible with the default Android music player, and for some reason it kept forgetting the playlists I made for it. But once you and your music start getting in the groove, you'll notice there's a loot system. As you run, you hear a synthesized voice talk about randomly dropped supplies your character picks up along the way.
Collected a pack of underwear.
That loot serves as a resource for a base-building minigame that prods persistence. The zombies are constantly destroying your fortress, so you constantly need to be running to restock the supplies that repair it. If you have your GPS turned on, you can enable the grueling chases, where you suddenly have to maintain a high speed while sprinting from running zombies who are gaining on you. If you're too slow, they take your loot. This makes for a few interesting game balance issues that you don't really appreciate until after a full run.
So how was it?
The game. It's not balanced for hills or for heat. Okay, so the GPS doesn't record elevation data, right? which means it has no way of knowing if you're going up or downhill. So if you're going uphill, you're screwed. If you're going downhill, it's easy. And the game doesn't necessarily reward you for going fast. It just rewards you for going faster during the 1-minute intervals when the sprints happen. So what you do is you go slow and save your stamina for the sprints instead of actually going fast the whole time and really wearing yourself down. I mean, you're really on the honor system.
Zombies are not your greatest enemy in this game. Hills are. You can look forward to feeling screwed if the zombie chases trigger just before an uphill climb, unless you turn around and run straight back down in the direction of the zombies you're trying to escape from, because going downhill during a chase is easy mode. It's a bit of a far-fetched justification to work out, but the writing is strong enough to tease a few interesting twists and turns for the later runs, and there are a lot of those to go around. But as far-fetched as the concept of this game may be, it is nowhere near as far-fetched as the next game. Burn Your Fat With Me. Burn Your Fat With Me markets itself as the world's first motivation fitness app, and it was the first thing ever to keep this guy legitimately motivated. It's a visual novel dating sim about young love blossoming between two teenage childhood friends, except one of them is getting a little too squishy for the other.
You've really gotten squishy, haven't you?
One thing leads to another, and before you know it, a harem of high-pitched anime girls are fighting over each other for your well-chiseled physique.
Senpai is my boyfriend.
But in order to get there, you have to do lots and lots of sit-ups in the training mode outside of the story. Story chapters are locked up via points accumulated during a training mode, with one sit-up worth just under 1 point. To do those sit-ups, you're supposed to lay down, put your phone on your knees, and tap the screen every time you sit up.
Fatty. One. 2. Thanks for doing this for me.
The progression curve here is screwed. You need hundreds and eventually thousands of points to unlock the preceding chapters, which creates a delay of days between events in the story that are written to take place within hours of each other. They really want you to grind away at this training and maybe even buy one of the DLC packs. This stuff gets interesting. You've got a lineup of familiar costumes, both perverted and conservative, on top of a couple extra workout modes. They're also localizing another version where your character's entirely bodily presence is swapped out with shiny girl legs, while dreamy, effeminate boys call you fat and shame you into working out for them. The company also released this official-looking trailer which shows off the push-up mode. I'm not going to demo that! I'm also not gonna turn on this Twitter option. What I did do, what I can't believe I actually did do for the sake of this review and research, was follow this thing's instructions all the way to the end of the story. And I didn't cheat at it either, even though I could have. Maybe I should have.
So how was it?
I feel a little winded, but mostly fine. I feel fine. I feel barely anything, really. Like, this is bullshit. You know, I think they were a little overzealous when they titled this game. It's called Burn Your Fat With Me, right? But sit-ups aren't exactly a time-efficient way to burn fat. You don't burn fat through sit-ups, you burn it through cardio plus dieting. So all this little Japanese anime girl bullshit is bullshit. These little anime girls are lying to you about how good you should feel about yourself. And if you're falling for it, you shouldn't feel good about yourself. Both games and all this whole subgenre, it's all gamification. It applies just the most superficial layer of game terminology onto a non-game activity. Working out is a chore, and these games try to sugarcoat that. They try to make it better by adding some kind of an arbitrary separate award to the chore that has nothing to do with the chore. And that's really ironic, because like I said earlier, video games and workout schedules are designed similarly. Getting in shape is kinda like playing a game. If you want to keep stretching that metaphor, like this one kid did, you can imagine calories and weight as being analogous to resources and currency or character progression levels. These two ideas aren't necessarily 100% incompatible with one another. The problem is that the products capitalizing off their similarities just come off as contrived. The difference between the two is that fitness is its own reward. It does not need a game system to systemize what is already baked into human physiology. Making fitness fun or turning it into a game doesn't require you to sugarcoat it, it requires you to respect it. Because, unlike play, it is not a fun activity by default. Not when you start. This is a bit of a declaration here, but I think our understanding of fun has a lot to do with a feeling of reward or accomplishment that comes from overcoming arbitrary, absurd obstacles. So after a few weeks of diligently working out, when you notice yourself getting lighter, stronger, and more confident, when you notice the rewards that come from overcoming the arbitrary obstacle that is the workout, that's when the process starts to resemble something that looks more like fun and games. So maybe the best way to make fitness fun, the best way to build positive associations in your brain with this chore, is to sugarcoat it with something not explicitly marketed as a workout game. Something that comes from you rather than from working out or from a game. Something that gets you to embrace the workout, something you can't do at any other part of your schedule. In my case, that meant listening to my favorite podcast while hitting the treadmill. Maybe you can use it to digest audiobooks or conference talks, just something that is genuinely fun by itself, but not contrived. Because then, if you're anything like me, you won't want to stop working out once you've started.